Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. Welcome to Humanity Happy Hour, aka the 19th hole. Welcome, everyone, to the Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of the three open forums that's under the Bring Humanity Together umbrella, where people can discuss topics related to the workplace, humanity in the workplace, in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues that are out there facing people today, because it is our goal to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. We always will be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday Eastern Daylight Time. And feel free to invite your friends to our events, colleagues, cats and dogs. Bring them all. We love them. And so today is our Humanity Happy Hour, hosted by none other Carla Fedigan, and my other great host for sharing care with Sandy Chernoff. And as you jump on, feel free to comment where you're chatting from or watching from, and we will love to jump on with you and with a conversation and hear any and all questions that you may have. And please let us know where you're commenting from, or even if you're watching on the replay, use the hashtag replay and let us know where you're watching from too as well. So, ladies, how are you guys doing today on Terrific Thursday?
Doing great, Chris. Thanks.
I'm good.
That is great to hear. So, what is on tap for the AKA 19th hole?
Well, so we've been talking about call to action all week. And one of the things we were talking about yesterday that we thought might be a great topic for today kind of ties into that. We were talking about not just talking the talk, but walking the walk in the workplace. And one thing we were talking about is, can we have the leaders of tomorrow today? And I think that we have lots of generations of leaders. And I think that the leaders of today that are younger than like the 18 to 35, they want to work to live and not live to work. They want to get in and get the job done, as opposed to us that we were maybe raised differently, in our generation. But they want something different. They don't want to be tied to a 9 to 5. Their mindset is if I can get in and get the job done, I want to get out. Why should I sit here till 5 o'clock? So I think that we have this opportunity to start thinking differently and today create the leaders that are going to be the leaders for the next several years.
Nice. I love that. I was speaking on this on Clubhouse, and I'm glad you're bringing it up today, because I truly believe, Carla, the leaders of tomorrow are actually literally here today, and we're the ones staring ourselves right in the mirror each and every single day, and we are those very leaders. I totally agree with you.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people that myself, my husband, I think we all have the same mindset that we're in there to do a job, and we're there to get it done. And we're not there to play games. We're not there to play company politics. We're not there to be nasty to each other. We got a job to do. Let's get in there and get it done.
Yep.
And sadly, not everybody thinks that way.
That's true.
So why do we even go down that road? What keeps us from not really opening ourselves up to a higher plane of thinking and being really cognizant that something can be more out there for us? What's your thoughts on that, Carla?
Well, I think that there's a lot of people that already think differently, but for whatever reason, other people haven't caught on. And I don't know why. And I think that if we knew why, we would have that answer and we'd all be growing and rowing together.
But I think one of the reasons that doesn't happen, Chris, is because if you don't have a leadership team that walks the walk and that models the behaviors, then you can't expect your employees to do those things, because talking the talk isn't enough.
Yeah.
Leadership needs to model what they want their people to do. And if they're not willing to do that, it shows that they're not really committed to those kinds of behaviors. But if they do walk the walk and model those behaviors, they have a far better chance that their people will follow suit. They need an example. And
well, I think part of it is that people don't realize what it's like to be in that positive type work culture, or that positive environment where everybody works together and grows and rose together. It's like you try to talk to somebody about being healthy, and you try to tell them how amazing you feel by what you're doing, yet they can't grasp that, and they're not believing that the change could happen or want that change to happen because they don't know what it feels like. And I think that once they could experience that, they'd be saying to themselves, my God, I didn't know what I didn't know. Why didn't I think of that earlier?
Why did I waste so much time?
A job where you've got somebody that, you've got a great team, and everybody's encouraged and everybody works together, and you get projects done and you celebrate together, and you're just like a family almost. When all that clicking and you get that warm, great feeling from it, and everything hums along just perfectly, when you go to look at where you've been or where you're going to go in the future, you're going to go, am I going to leave a culture like this for something else that's less than this? Or am I going to stay here? Or you're going to always want to look for that culture. People move around because they, maybe their spouse relocates or something like that, or family pulls them into a different city or something. But when you've been in a great work environment, you're going to look for something like that, and you're not going to settle for something less.
No,
I agree.
So I don't think until you actually experience it, do you actually get it and know what you're looking for.
But you can't experience it, Carla.
Yeah.
The leadership doesn't set the tone.
Right. And that's the hard part.
Yeah, I agree. And again, there are people that are naturally good at this, and so they're going to establish it and set it up and walk the walk and the whole 9 yards. But there are many people that honestly don't have a clue. And unless they realize that they are holding their company back and their people back, and get some help so that they can improve how they deal with things. Because again, we can't make people do things they don't want to do. If they're not interested in learning some of these things, then you might as well go over there and bang your head against the wall, because nothing's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if they realize that they are the problem and that they need to make some changes and then seek the help, then things will happen.
And if their ego's in the way, it's not going to happen.
No.
And that's, to me, is why the level of entrepreneurship has increased so much, because people are tired of it.
Yep. They're tired of working
something better.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can work on my own, or I can form my own, or I can go form my own company with a culture that I want.
And that's why a lot of them are solopreneurships.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even need, I don't have any employees.
Well, I don't have any employees, but I have a team. But we all think alike, and we all want to grow, and we all help each other out. There's no no keeping score or anything like that. It's like, if one person is kind of like your go-to person in your group that's great with social media, you can go to them and say, hey, can I get some tips from you? Or how did you do that? Or, that kind of thing. Or if you've got other people that are better at event planning, for example, you collaborate with them and you work together, Well,
I know a lot of people who do similar things to me, and sometimes they do things that I don't do. And if a client wants something that I don't do, then I will suggest that, I'll call them up and say, listen, I'm doing this, but I, don't do what you do. And so I suggested to my client that I bring someone in who does be willing to handle that part of the contract.
Right.
So, again, yes, I mean, I work by myself. I don't have a team, but I know lots of people that do similar things to me.
Right.
And, I have no trouble phoning them up and saying, hey, how would you like part of a contract?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
you do have a team in the sense that you have resources that you can bring into a contract, and you can
Yeah.
collaborate together to offer that service to your clients.
Yeah.
And and it's the thing that you trust them, they trust you, you work together well, and so it's just like in the workplace. You should trust people. There are people that work like in call centers that don't even know the people that they're working with.
Yeah.
Because they go into a call center, and I met a guy once. He was working with a major phone carrier, and he was on the business side of it, soliciting their business services to companies. And he was mandated to make 100 touches a day, and they were listening to his calls. And I'm like, and you like doing that? And he said no. And he was getting like $12 an hour.
Oh,
And I
God.
was like, he's like, didn't want to make a change because I have bills to pay. Well, you're not going to pay too many on $12 an hour, and you're going to be miserable there,
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, that some people don't want to change jobs because they're afraid if they don't get one pretty soon, they're going to be in trouble because they have financial responsibilities with their family, rent or mortgage payments or car payments or, put food on the table. I mean, whatever it is. And so they get stuck.
Or they take whatever. Yeah.
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 But no, $12 an hour. God.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Carla, because I also have worked in a call center environment for many years myself. And what happens, hold on, I got someone coming in.
People just get stuck, Carla.
Oh, they do. They do.
They don't have confidence that they can find something that will earn them as much or more, So it's a matter of, you're so unhappy, but why are you staying there?
Well, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to live on credit. And, nobody does, but if I had to, I'm glad that I have it, that I could live on it if I had to. But you do reach a point where you've got to do something.
Yeah, because you end up with so much debt.
Said that if I ever lost my job and I was going to, and I needed to work somewhere, I'd work too if I had to,
Right. And like back to what I was saying about the call center, when I was working at the call center, there were people you didn't even know that was in that building that you actually, when you had to do a cold transfer or a warm transfer or whatever, they don't even know who you were even on that phone with, so they don't even know who you were. So when you were saying, hey, I've got a warm transfer you to Carla, and you would be at the other end of the building, they don't even know who you are. And they're like, well, Chris, what's going on? Well, this is what's going on. And then you're like, okay. And that's all you, and that kind of handoff I hate, because when you're sitting beside somebody and you can tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, Carla, I don't know what's going on here. Can you help me out? Great. Bam. Done. So that is, I truly believe in that too. That we got to start knowing our people that we're working with, because if you don't know what you don't know, you're just going to be like, what do I do? How do I do that? And see, there's some things in the programming in some call centers that you can literally send like little notes or messages to people, and sometimes they still don't even realize what's going on with that, because they're going to say, oh, I didn't get that message. Well, why didn't you get that message?
I had another friend of mine that was doing some call center work from home, and she was saying that if she didn't understand, she was told that if there was something going on and she needed to reach out to somebody else to pass it up, but then she'd get reprimanded from it. And then she was saying, well, teach me how to handle it. Well, no, you just pass it up. Well, then don't reprimand me because I can't handle it, because you're not giving me the tools to be able to handle it. The last thing I want to do is have to pass it up to anybody and, put more people stirring the pot. But if you're not going to help me, what am I going to do? Your hands are tied.
Right.
Exactly. See,
Right.
and that's what one of the other things we talked about yesterday was cross training. You know, teach people other things so that they can handle them. What's wrong with that? It's more efficient in the long run.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And see, even from a place of leadership, or even if you're not in leadership, but you can take a role as a leader, you got to recognize that that can occur
Mhm.
and make that happen. Because if you just let someone try to go solo on their own and let them do what they're going to do, they are not going to get to where they need to go because they only know what they know, or what they don't know is what they don't know.
Or you're
And
setting them up for failure.
exactly.
Yeah.
And see, why go down that road? Why go down that path? I wouldn't. And
It doesn't make any
I have
sense.
been through that far too many times because people have done that. They have actually said, okay, we'll let him go. And see, that's not the way that it really embraced what people can bring to the table.
Exactly.
It might be what they've been told, and that's been kind of the way that they've been trained, or they don't want other people knowing more than they know because that way they can be replaced. Because, you know, you've heard of everybody that says, you know, I work my tail off as say, for example, a manager, and next thing I know, I'm getting laid off, and they're raising an assistant manager up to my position who I've taught everything to for half the price. So people get territorial about their positions and their ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's a big problem. Well, that's what was wrong at that tech company. You know, the owner, the control freak, and had a big ego, and it was in the way all the time. He couldn't get past it. And that's why he had so much trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, again, leadership isn't about bossing people around. That's not what leadership is about.
Leadership's not about you.
No, it's about you helping the people that you work with to fulfill their potential. You have to get to know them and know what it is they're interested in, and what it is that they can do, and you can help them to do it better, and you know, all those kinds of things. But if you don't pay attention and you don't listen, and you don't, like you said, Chris, get to know the people, then there's no way that you're going to be able to help them, and then everybody struggles. So it's not a good way to deal with things. But again, like I said, you know, a lot of people start a business, but they have no idea how to be a boss. They they don't know how to hire people. They don't know how to deal with people. And I think I told you guys also, when I started my business and I went to some networking events, and people came up to me and said, oh, you know, you have to figure out what your target market is. And I just looked at them and I started to laugh. And I said, name me an industry that doesn't have people. And they kind of looked at me and I said, well, I solve people problems. So it doesn't really matter. I don't have a target market. And, you know, and if you look on my website at the list of my clients, it's a huge variety of industries, because I would never have thought to go out and have a fish meal company for one of my, who would think to go after a fish meal company? I mean, you know, that would not be at the top of anybody's list. But people come to me because they have a problem and they're looking for some kind of solution. And I don't care what industry they're in. I've learned about a lot of different industries. I have tons of construction clients and all the sub-trades. And that's fine. I've learned a lot. I knew quite a bit about it because I've built a house from the ground up and I've renovated 3. So I sort of have an idea of
Know your stuff.
what goes on with that. But it's still a matter of, you know, you have to learn where these people are coming from and what they need to do. And one of my companies is an air conditioning and heating company. And they wanted their technicians to do sales. So I said to the 2 bosses, I said, your technicians don't want to do sales.
No.
That's not what they want to do. So let's call it something else. So Jack looks at me and he goes, what? And I said, yeah, let's not call it sales. Let's call it customer service. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, if they come in and they examine the heating system and they feel that it's old and it's starting to break and it's not very efficient, why can't they suggest to the client that it might be a good idea to get a new, more high efficiency furnace that would cost them less money to run and they would have fewer repairs, because it seems that we're here every couple of months now because this thing keeps breaking down. Wouldn't it be better to get something new that functioned better, and then you don't need to be paying for repairs, and it will cost you less because it's going to be, more efficient? So what is that? Well, actually, it's sales. But the truth is, you're doing customer service for your client. You're giving
You're
them,
saving them money.
yeah. So, Jack looks at me and he goes, well, that makes sense. I said, yeah, well, then they won't think they're doing sales, even though we know
Right.
that they are. But
Right.
let's not call it sales, because technicians don't like to do sales. They like to fix things. So this is how they would fix it. It's called customer service, and you're just giving them an overview of what's going on and what could make it better.
They're fixing their problem.
Well, and after that,
Yeah.
these guys started doing this, and Jack phoned me and says, you can't believe how much sales are going on. I said, well, good. I'm glad to hear that, but don't ever use that word with the technicians.
Well, no, you wouldn't want someone come to your front door and say, hey, I see your outside air conditioning's running all the time. Don't you want to buy a new one? But if it's breaking down and your service technician comes in and it's like, hey, I've been here 3 times well, if you lived in Florida, you'd be down there every month, I think, because it's so warm. And then they help identify, look, you've got a problem here. You've put out X amount of money on your AC just since the first of the year, and it's not going to get any better. So you're basically diagnosing the problem and offering a solution,
Exactly.
as opposed to knocking on the door, say, hey, you want to buy an air conditioner?
Exactly.
So when we talk about avatars,
Technicians don't want to do that.
yeah.
They absolutely don't want to do that.
Yeah. It's like nurses don't want to do medical coding. They don't want to do ICD-10 coding. When you talk about your target market and your avatar, I think a lot of people just throw that into any business, and I can see it on a level of what kind of companies do you want to target to. Say, for example, I have a girlfriend of mine that she used to do accounting services for contractors. And so, of course, her target market was contractors, because they had a lot of accounting that they had to do and stuff. Whereas what you're doing, like you said, what company doesn't have people? So you have a wide range of things, as opposed to like what I do. A lot of my target is nurses, because number one, I used to be a nurse. Well, I still am, but I'm not practicing as a nurse. Number two, I see a huge problem with burnout and stress and them taking bad care of themselves. So that tends to be my target market. But does that exclude everybody else? Oh, heck no, because they're listening too.
Yeah, exactly.
They're listening too.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't go after anybody. They come to me.
Yeah.
I told you, because when they
Well, I
have a
don't
problem,
like to go after anybody
they just
either.
Google the problem. And if the SEO on your website is working well, they'll get to you. And
Right.
then I always have one of those discussion interviews to find out very specifically what they're looking for, so that I can customize the program to provide them with the specific strategies and skills and options in terms of how to deal with these things, so that they can get rid of their problems. And it's just a matter of, I tried some push marketing initially. I took out ads in a couple of trade magazines and in one community newspaper. I even shared a booth in a trade show with somebody.
I've done that before.
And what I discovered was that, if they don't have a problem, they honestly don't care. They're not that
Or if
interested.
they don't believe they have a problem, they don't honestly care.
That's another issue.
For free.
Yeah, but if they do have a problem, that's when they Google their problem to see if they can find somebody who can provide them with a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, as I said, I get most of my contracts from inquiries from my website.
Yeah.
And that's because Nathaniel has done a very good job with SEO. And I also know certain things that I should do so that I can keep the Google Analytics high. And that's blogging and, adding different things. Plus when
Adding value. Yeah.
I backlink to the different workshops, and I even learned how to add pages and, do different things on the back end of that website.
Uh-huh.
And it's just a matter of what are you doing? And if you don't continue to expand your website with things that Google thinks are appropriate for the topic of your website, Google Analytics go down the toilet.
Yeah.
So you have to keep building on your website. And that's fine. I mean, that's why I blog on it. I add all my speaking engagements. I have recommendations from clients that are on it. Like I have a whole page. There are people have complimented me on whatever I did for them, and those kinds of things. And it's just a matter of what are you doing. And
Right.
if you've got things on there that show that you're growing your knowledge and your experience and so on and so forth, then Google likes you, because they have bots that they send out that examine this kind of stuff. It's sort of interesting, but that's welcome to the tech world.
Yeah.
Right. But I'll go back to this too. And I thought about this too as well when it comes to customer service, as you were talking about, Sandy, earlier. Sales and customer service truly go hand in hand. You can't have one. Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, I even dare to say, ladies, we can even grow our business from what most traditional businesses don't. What we have been doing is we've been sharing our stories with people from around the world and saying, this is our vision for humanity in the workplace and everything. Because once we share our story with those very people, it resonates with them. They see that they can not only can become a leader, but they can see the leader inside of us and saying, hey, this is going to be great and well worth it, because once we start sharing that with others, and maybe even through the very smallest things that we can do, even if it's in a traditional business, leaders will start recognizing that we can lead with our humanity, express our humanity in our unique way, and really be able to say, let's get to the heart of humanity and let's help people grow and thrive together. Because, like you said before, Carla, leadership is not about yourself. It's about others. And I truly believe in that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with showing, what's the word I'm looking for? Vulnerability.
Yes.
Even as a leader, there's nothing wrong with showing that. All it does is it shows you're human.
Yep.
We're all vulnerable. We all, have our foibles and whatever. And again, like I said yesterday, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody. But if the leadership people admit their mistakes and apologize and say how they're going to fix it, then it sets a different kind of example. Because they're going, whoa, even the leader made a mistake. It said so. So it's a matter of what kind of example are you setting? What are you modeling to your people? And it's just a matter of be yourself. Don't let your ego get in the way and all those kinds of things. Just be a nice person. And if you're a nice person and you're helping others so they can be the best they can be, why would they not want to, why would they not want to stay?
Yeah.
Because, you're there helping them and helping them to be better and so on and so forth. It's going to make them feel good, makes them feel appreciated and valued and all the things that matter to most people. So again, this stuff isn't rocket science. I mean, it's just really not. It's just a matter of using some common sense and being human, being nice and supportive and respectful, and helping out in whatever ways you can so that your people can be the best they can be. And when they are the best they can be, they feel good about themselves and they create better. And the business gains the advantage of these people working so well. So it's a win-win for everybody. And that's the reason why I don't understand why they wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah.
When you have that great feeling that you put in a good day's work at the end of the day and you've contributed to a team and you have a great time with the people that you work with, you want to come back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And again, as we also said, most adults spend the majority of their life at work. And if you hate your job, that means you hate your life. That's pretty sad.
It is pretty sad.
It really is. I mean, work should be interesting. It should be challenging. And in some respects, it should be fun. There's nothing wrong with having fun at work and having fun with the people with whom you work, or even having fun with your customers or your clients. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, it makes everybody feel good. So I don't understand why everybody has to just be serious all the time. And I mean, sometimes we have to be serious because it depends what we're trying to do, but it doesn't mean that that has to be, how it is all the time, because that's not very much fun.
So
Right.
I've run into some things on what is it when they have like the polls and different articles and stuff on LinkedIn? Do you find it appropriate to show your silly side or your fun side at work? I don't know if you've ever run into that.
Well, I've seen that, Carla, and you know what I say to that?
What?
The very same person that you see at home is going to be the same person that you see at work. We're one and the same. We're no different. We put our shoes and socks on and pants on the same way each and every single day. So what you see is what you get. But it's going to be different because home is totally different than work, because home is home. But when you see the interconnectedness of who we are innately as people, we are going to be those very same people at work. But see, we've been so disconnected from that mindset because we're told that we have to have work at work and then home at home.
That work persona and that home persona.
Correct. But why can't yeah, go ahead.
But if you have a good sense of humor and you like to, sort of have some fun, what's wrong with bringing that to the workplace? I mean, I just don't see anything wrong with it.
Well, I think we've all maybe had those stuffy bosses that didn't allow it, and they were, preaching etiquette in the workplace. Well, come on, we're adults here. There is a certain amount of etiquette. You don't show up at the office in your pajamas, for example. But
unless you have a home office.
I don't even do that in my home office.
Me neither.
No, I'm one of these people. I get to wear. Well, I do Zoom, so nobody wants to see me in my pajamas. But we've just been so conditioned that we have to act a certain way in the workplace, and I think a lot of that might have softened up with people working remotely, and they get to see the reals of life. The dog barking at the doorway, or, like I'll be on a Zoom and I'm waving to my husband as he's passing my office, opening, or, you drop something on the floor, or, got to pick it up. People start to see that you're actually real.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You're not a robot.
And that's to some degree is vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
That people can see that you're real.
Well, see, I embrace what I've been given. I embrace the skill sets, the talents, the gifts. I embrace it all, whether it be good or bad. I don't care. I embrace them because you know why? That is a gift. And if you look to it as a gift, and even from a place of leadership, you can even say, hey, this is who I am. It's like what Brian has said many times. What if a leader is doing the best that they can for what they know even at that time? A leader don't have to know it all. But what they can do is set the precedent and the example and the culture into such an extent that they can say, hey, I may not know it all, but you know what? I'll go to Carla or Sandy to find out.
A lot of people don't want to say that they don't know it all.
That's right.
They want to know every detail. They don't want to give it up to somebody else because their ego gets in the way, and they're afraid that they're going to get replaced.
That's why I'm surrounding our team just in that very manner to say, hey, you know what, Chris, when it comes to numbers, that's not his thing. I know that, and I live up to that. I hate math. I hate math with a passion. But you know what? You know what I do love? I do know what I know is what I know. And if I can find somebody who knows the numbers game and the P&L game and accounting and all that kind of stuff, you know what? I just know there's going to be something so much more powerful that I can say, Sandy can do this, Carla can do that, Brian can do this, Graham can do that, and just let it grow and throw from there, because I just know my place in all of this. I am the coalition builder, founder, conductor, however you want to call it. I'm just who I am. And I just know my place in space and all that. And I'm just having those people to say, join us on stage. And we're going to make beautiful music together because I know we can do it and we should do it because once that music is heard, people are going to start taking that dance. And I know it.
I agree, Chris. But it's just a matter of, again, realizing what someone's shortcomings are in terms of, what we can and cannot do and so on. It's fine as long as you have other people on your team who can pick up the slack and give them the responsibility to do so. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely
teach the other person how to do it.
Well, that too. But it's just a matter of there are people who have those skills. So we might as well bring one of them on board and let them take care of it because they like to and they've got experience with it. And so it's all good. It's just, it's a matter of what are we trying to accomplish? And it's like you said, Chris, we can't all know everything. It just doesn't work that way. And no leader knows everything either. So that's why they have different people on their team with different skills and different abilities and different backgrounds. And we bring it all to the table. And these people have responsibilities that the leader either doesn't know how to do or doesn't want to do, or it doesn't matter what the reason is. But that's why you have other people on your team. And it's really good to have those other people because they also bring different perceptions and experience to the table, which can be beneficial to the entire team. In fact, sometimes when you have a team meeting and you go around the table, depending on what we're doing, different people will take the leadership role because they are, the most knowledgeable in what we're talking about right now. So it's just a matter of also appreciating that that's how things work sometimes too. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly fine. It's actually good.
Yeah, that it is. That it is. And like I said, I know what we'll do together here at Bringing Humanity Together is going to be so impactful on such a grand scale because from the very things that we'll do, from the very smallest things, I know what's going to have the hugest impact because we're surrounding ourselves with people who know what they know, whether it be social media, finance, legal, marketing, sales, whatever. We're going to surround ourselves with those people and say, you know what? I
Run
can
with
do
the
this.
ball.
Go,
Just run with the ball.
be like Dan Marino and throw touchdowns left and right. I don't care. Just throw them. Because you know what? We can do this together. And I know once we lock arms and lock hands and say, hey, you know what? We can do this. It's not about us. It's about those very people and companies and individuals that we will impact because we know, because you know what? We've been there. We've been to that side. Who wants to be burnt out as a nurse? Not Carla. Who wants to be burned out as a pharmacy technician? Not me, because my wife is one. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm bringing her home, and I want to make this so great in scope and really so engaging to such an extent that you guys, you know what? You basically replicate yourselves. There's many Carlas, many Sandys, many Chris's, and that's how the momentum starts.
Maybe Walmart would like to hire us, Chris.
All right, Carla, you got to say something.
Wouldn't that be a big contract?
Yeah.
How many stores do they have?
Say that again.
How many stores do they have?
No idea.
Who? Walmart?
Google, how many Walmart stores are there worldwide?
Oh, here we go. On the fly.
10,526 stores worldwide.
Wow. And that's probably including their little neighborhood mark stores that they do. And it's probably Sam's is a totally different dynamic when you come to Sam's.
It didn't break it down.
Yeah.
Sounds like Walmart could use some help, though, Chris.
Yeah. But we're going to do this. We are, because we're committed. And we're committed to not only humanity, but we're committed to each other. Because you know what? Humanity is on the verge, I dare to say, ladies, on the next rise and renaissance of humanity. And the very leaders, like I said in yesterday, that comes up to our topic today, the very leaders that are of tomorrow are the very leaders of today. We are those leaders. And I truly believe we can do that.
Well, I think that we're the leaders, but I think that there's a younger generation that we need to partner with to help them be the leaders of tomorrow.
I agree. I completely agree.
Whether it
It's
be
there.
through a mentorship program or a partnership, a collaboration. I don't know what you want to call it. You can call it whatever you want, a partnering, whatever. But when you've got a great organization, you need to be building leaders
I agree.
because people come and go for whatever reason.
And see, I love this quote.
Positive reason, you
Yeah.
know.
And I love this quote, and I don't know how I came about finding it out, but I just came in my head this way. It's this: leaders can't be leaders if they can't follow. Followers can't be followers if they can't lead. For you to be a leader, you have to also follow, and I truly believe in that.
Well, again, Chris, like we've already said many times, it's not about you. It's about everybody else. And it's a matter of figuring that out and getting to know all those other people so that, again, you can help them to fulfill their potential. Because, again, that's a win-win for everybody. It's a
I agree.
win-win for the person that you're helping, and it's a win-win for the organization. And that person is going to work at a higher level and be more creative and more efficient and so on and so forth. So they'll feel better about themselves and be more confident. And the company and the team win because they're going to be more productive. And so we get the benefit of that. Again, this is not rocket science. It's just helping people to be the best they can be. And if you can do that with the people that you work with, then again, everyone wins. Absolutely everybody wins. And it's not that hard to do. It's just a matter of paying attention and having conversations where you actively listen so that you learn what it is they care about, maybe what they'd like to learn to do next, maybe, what they're interested in, so that you can give them the opportunity to expand their responsibilities or take on a new challenge or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. But if you don't listen to them and pay attention, then you won't know and you won't be able to help them to move on and do something better and to the benefit of them and to the organization. It's just a matter of, again, getting to know your people so you know what they have to offer. Because on the surface, you'll kind of know. But from a deeper perspective, we have to find out more about them. Because maybe there are things they would like to learn how to do that maybe nobody else is doing.
That is true.
And if that's so, then let's give them some training so that they can do those things, especially if it's going to be beneficial to the company and to the team.
Yeah.
Well, and also, we talk about cross-training. Maybe you're doing a part-time job at a company doing X. And I've actually seen people be turned down for this. They've been doing one job on a part-time basis, and they offered to do another job that was available on a part-time basis in the sense that they'd be done with the first job and had the time to do the second one. So there was no conflict there. Yeah, and they asked, "Hey, can I pick up the supplemental because I could use the hours," and they got turned down for it. And the thing is that it would have helped the company because they didn't have to onboard a new person that didn't know the company.
Exactly.
They didn't have to pay added benefits to these people.
Yeah.
Because they weren't hiring a new person. They were just expanding the hours of this other person.
Well, and the thing is that, to keep people engaged and challenged, give them some extra responsibilities.
So you know what they did? They left. They left because they weren't challenged. They made a gracious offer. It would have been a win-win for the company. The company would have gotten their expertise because they knew it. They knew the job. They could have picked it up like that. There was no onboarding to be had. Maybe they had, over 32 hours. And so they had to offer them benefits, but it's still cheaper than employing
somebody else on. Absolutely.
And so they demoralized the person, and they felt like, well, geez, what am I here for? And they ended up leaving.
Yeah.
And see, ladies, I hear that from Melinda a lot. Melinda gets to run through the mill at the pharmacy far too many times. I mean, she literally does herself probably over 90% of the work in that pharmacy. And she's like, my manager just raked me over the coals again today. I was like, why? Well, because he just wants to. And see, his dynamic of leadership is totally backwards, and I've seen it. And see, that's why I want to bring her home from that, because she doesn't deserve that, number one. And no one should go through what she is going through, even in that pharmacy. Because, as you well know, Carla, pharmacy technicians by trade, they do about 90 to 95% of the work, because the pharmacists basically only do the 4-point, and that's it. They put the medicine together and do consultations. That's it. The pharmacy technicians do 90 to 95% of the work.
And that consultation is, do you have any questions? No.
Yep. And see, that's why I want to bring her home from that, because like I said, it's not good for her. No. She literally, like I said, runs and runs and runs, and she doesn't get appreciated for it. And even she's in a leadership role herself, and when she tells people that say, hey, can you do this for me, or can you do that for me, or check on a prescription or whatever, half the time they don't even listen to her. And I'm thinking, why give her a title if no one really backs her up and say, hey, she's a supervisor here, you need to listen to Melinda. And see, I hate that.
Back from other people that are pharmacy techs?
Yep.
Jealousy?
Yep. That's
resentment.
because
to fix that. Because people bring that to the table.
Of course they do.
And they have to want to get rid of that. And those people will sabotage other people.
Oh, yep. She's had it done to her. She has. She's had people undercut her, and it's something so simple as like one day she came to me and said, I wanted somebody just to do X, X, and X here. And the one thing that she asked it a couple of times to do, please answer the phone in 3 wings. Just answer the phone.
Yeah, it's good customer service.
And they won't even do it. And she goes nuts with that.
And she has no control over it. She has no, I mean, if she sat down with her team and said, hey, when the phone rings, we really need to do our best to answer it in 3 rings. You know, if it doesn't happen, no, sometimes you can't, you know, but if it's like 5 or 6 or 7, and if like somebody pick up the friggin' phone, you know what I'm saying? If you're like a manager of other pharmacy techs, and you don't have any repercussions on what to do, you don't have anything you can do about it, your hands are tied.
Yeah.
You have a title and you have no name and you have nobody listening to you, no matter how nice you're going to be. And no matter how you say, I don't want it done because I want it done. I would like to see it done because it's good customer service. And that's what we're here about.
Yep.
It's good customer service.
Yep.
And even in that respect, if you've got people that are working for you that just can't put that, well, she thinks she's all this, that, and the other, when she's not, they're tied to their jealousy, and there's no way you can get rid of that.
Yeah.
That's something that you have to choose on your own to get rid of.
And she has been a godsend to this pharmacy that she's worked at. Her first pharmacy job was in a Kmart. She was literally a cashier at a Kmart, starting as cashiering, then went into cashiering at the pharmacy there, and that's how she knows what she knows, because she did all her CEs, and she still does them to today. She does all that work. but she, like I said, her manager in the pharmacy and a couple of the famous pharmacy managers don't give her the due diligence to say, hey, how can I take a workload off of you today because you do so much? How can I get you to where you need to go? How can I get you to do X, X, and X? And I've even seen in the restaurant that I work at, people are just, the ego really gets in the way. It really does. And ego is a big thing because you can lose so much of an opportunity from the ego mindset, because when you go out and extend an invitation to connect with somebody, and then you get into that conversation, and it's like what you said before in one conversation, Sandy, you just feel it. It's so palpable, you just know it and you feel it. Why go into that kind of conversation if you know that the ego is going to get in your way? I'll be like, hey, I'm sorry. I'll be.
So what age group are we looking at in terms of these people with egos?
With her,
the older people, or is it the younger 18 to 35 generation?
They fall into the two categories.
Oh yeah,
There is the millennials are definitely in that pharmacy, and then probably I would say it would be the 35, 45 crowd and everything like that. So you got two sets of dynamics right there and unto itself. But like I said, she goes to her pharmacy manager days after day after day and say, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help with that? And then sometimes when she is at home, she would get a phone call and say, hey, can you do this for me at home? And she gets calls at home to do work at home.
I wouldn't pick up the phone.
Now, see, a leader should recognize that and say, hey, this is your time.
I wouldn't pick up the phone.
She does it.
That's taking
there's dedication. There's dedication to a company, and then there's being walked on.
Yeah.
And until you set those boundaries, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, that's why I'm on a mission to bring her home, because, like I said, it's not there for her. It isn't. She gives her blood, sweat, and tears, and she doesn't really get that much more back in return, if not more, when you think of that dynamic. And see, as leaders, we should do that. We should actually go above and beyond, not of what the partner will do for us, because we shouldn't expect the world and then some for those very partners that are on our teams. Because I don't look at people as employees anymore. I look to them as partners. Because if you truly invest in them, diametrically you invest in yourself. And then you invest in every single person at every single level of their organization, because you know that organization can grow from that mindset. Like we said, it's not about us. It is not. And like I said, I'm determined to make this happen. And I said to you ladies once before, many times, it's not a matter of if we're going to get big. It's only going to be a matter of when and who's on board. That's it. Because I know it's going to happen. Because people are craving this. They want their humanity to be expressed in any level of an organization. They want to lead with their humanity any day in every way. We can be able to give that to them, because it's almost like, to a certain extent, ladies, it's almost like taking your life back. It's time for us to take our lives back at work, to enjoy it, to be really felt and known that we're a part of something that's really near and dear to our hearts. Because it's like what Brian said before, if you start living the life that you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yep. If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Darn. And I'm committed to it. And I'm committed to you, because I know this needs to occur for everyone anywhere on this planet. Because we're all human, number one. But we all share the same commonality. So what really unites us and binds us, even from a place of leadership. We, like I said, we can be those leaders of tomorrow today. And we can do that. Let go of the ego. Let go of the hate. Let go of the suffering. And yes, that comes from Star Wars, of course, because I'm a big Star Wars fan. Master Yoda is one of the most wisest of all.
I was thinking of Frozen. Let it go, let it go. And I won't sing anymore.
Let it snow. But but see, I believe in that. We can literally take them down the path they were meant to go down on, not down to literally doom their destiny. I don't believe in that. People should grow and thrive for what's available to them and be that guide on their journey. Give them the incentive to be that very hero or very leader that they can be.
So
And if
what
we
would
can,
your call to action be to create the heroes for tomorrow?
the heroes of tomorrow needs to be done from that dynamic that we really invest in them to such an extent. And I've told people this a lot of times, Carla. I want to become I want to become so selfish for others to become more unselfish for myself. And I truly believe in that. And I think that's a great call to action to do. Because once you really put the focus on people and you ask them, what's your why? Why are you here? What's your purpose? Is it an alignment to our vision? Is it an alignment to your vision? And see, a lot of companies don't do that. They don't ask those questions now. We just guess and hope to God, like we said yesterday, throw money on the wall and see, hope it sticks.
Mm.
Don't go down that road. Know who you got now. If you know who you got now, that's going to bring value and competency and added value to those people that they meet. It's not the many that we need to seek out to create the change. It's the one. That one will turn into many if we allow it to occur not only in our lives, but in their lives. So that would be my call to action.
What about you, Sandy?
Well, I also think that, and we've said this many times, it's not about the leader. It's about the people that you're supposed to be leading. And if you don't pay attention and you don't listen and you don't help them, then you're not doing your job. You're just really not. And when people get taken advantage of, like your poor wife is getting taken advantage of, Chris, it's really sad. And like you said, she's got a terrible manager and he's not doing his job. He's not recognizing what she contributes to their pharmacy. And that's a real shame
He'll
because
realize it when she's gone.
that's right. That's what'll happen when she's gone and there's nobody pulling their weight except Melinda, who did. Then all of a sudden he's going to have a much bigger job because he's going to have to be doing everything she was doing, or he's going to have to start training people to get these things done. And it's just really a shame that so many people just don't get it. They just really don't get it. I mean, I told you, my dad was a really fun boss. I mean, he was very hard on me because I was his kid. But as far as the other people were concerned, he was very supportive and encouraging to them. And he was very good to the office in general in terms of rewarding them and acknowledging their contributions and all those kinds of things. And we had people that worked there for years and years and years because they didn't want to go anywhere else. And I also told you his dentistry was so good that he had a lot of dentists for patients. And dentists came to him because they knew that he did good dentistry. So, it's a whole different picture. And, he had a really good office manager and she was young. She was younger than I was. And Linda worked for him for 35 years. And, she hired staff and trained them and, did all kinds of things. But he started her out when she was young. When she started working for him, I think she was 19 or 20.
Wow.
But he recognized the potential in her and helped her to grow. I mean, you could listen to her on the phone and she was amazing, even if someone was screaming at her on the phone, which patients would do sometimes because they weren't happy with something. So Linda would calm them down and she'd say, I'm listening to you. Please stop yelling because I really am here to help you. So please tell me exactly what your problem is so that I can help you. And she would stay calm. She would take deep breaths and, so that she didn't yell back at them. And she never did. And it was just it was wonderful to watch her deal with these difficult situations, and she was very good at it. And my dad obviously saw that potential in her when he hired her, and he encouraged her to do, different things and so on and so forth, and got her some training for certain things. And she was remarkable. I mean, she really was. And even when my dad got sick, Linda went over to his house, to see if there was anything she could do for him and stuff like that. I mean, she was incredible. She really was. So again, it depends how you work these things. It just depends how you deal with your people. I mean, Linda would never go anywhere else. I mean, my dad took care of her and was nice to her and paid her well and, all those good things. Where was she going to go?
Right. All right.
And
As
we all
always,
respected
ladies.
her and appreciated what she did, and we all told her. And so she was going nowhere.
Yep. So as always, ladies, we greatly appreciate you here and what you do and what you contribute and what we will continue to work together. But the time has now come that we have to go and say goodbye to the 19th hole because the sips and dips are done for today. So we greatly appreciate you, Carla and Sandy, as always. And we'll be seeing you next Tuesday for Share and Care with Sandy Chernoff. And you guys have a great week. Make it your week. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.